Hello. So I'm Mrs. Jacobson and we're going to work on Module 12. And in this section it's using a given zero to write a polynomial as products of linear factors. And they want us to find the real zeros. So we want to list the factors. They're giving us 2 is a 0. If 2 is a 0, to get the factor, you get it set equal to 0. The factor would be then x minus 2. So we know that x minus 2 is a factor. Now you can use long division and use x minus 2 and divide it into this, or you can use synthetic division and use the 0. I'm going to use synthetic division. My values are 1, -6, 11, and -6. So remember, for synthetic we bring down the 1. 2 times 1 is 2. When I add down, I get a -4. 2 times a -4 is a -8. When I add down, I get 3. 2 times 3 is 6. And we should get a remainder of 0 because it was a factor. This was x cubed, so this becomes x squared minus 4x plus 3. Well, this will factor further. We need two numbers that when we multiply we get 3, that when we add we get -4. And that would be -3 times -1. When you multiply you get the +3. When you add you get the -4, x minus 3, and x minus 1. Express h of x as a product of linear factors. Linear meant that they wanted x to the first power, so that's why you couldn't leave the squared. And this would be your answer. Let's try another one. So we have f of x equals x cubed minus 9x squared plus 22x minus 12. And they gave us 3 as a 0. Well, that means that x equals 3. Get it set equal to 0, the factor is x minus 3. And we have to find the rest of it. You need to divide. So you either use long division and divide by x minus 3, or you use synthetic and use the 3. I like synthetic. So we have 1, -9, 22, and a -12. Bring the 1 down. 3 times 1 is 3. Add down and you get a -6. 3 times a -6 is a -18. Add down and you get 4. 3 times 4 is 12, remainder 0. This was x cubed, so this is x squared minus 6x plus 4. They want it in linear factors, which means this is factorable. Not factorable. X cubed minus 9x squared plus 22x minus 12. We could use the quadratic formula. Let's see how they want us to write it. Yeah, quadratic form. Oh, that's the division. Okay, they do want you to use the quadratic formula. So this one is not factorable. So to find the factors that go in here, you use the quadratic formula. So b is -6. Negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times a. So we have 6 plus or minus the square root all over 2. 6 and 6 is 36. Minus 16 is 20. 20 as a perfect square. Square root of 4 is 2, radical 5 over 2. And these will all reduce by 2. So we have 3 plus or minus the square root of 5. So then our factor this is the 0. Notice when we bring them over, the 3 is negative in both of them. X minus 3 minus the square root of 5, and x minus 3 plus the square root of 5 equals 0. So when we bring it back over. So those are your two factors. X minus 3, and then x minus 3 minus the square root of 5, and x minus 3 plus the square root of 5 equals f of x. So if it's not factorable, this still needs to be linear, so you have to use the quadratic formula. Let's try another one. I think that's the same one. No, okay. G of x equals x cubed minus 3x squared minus 3x plus 1. And negative 1's a 0, which means when it was solved, x equals negative 1. To get the factor, bring it back over. Get it set equal to 0. So x plus 1 is a factor. So we want to divide it. When we divide it, we have 1, negative 3, and 1. Bringing down our number, negative 1 times 1 is a negative 1, which gives us negative 4. Negative times negative is a positive 4. When adding down, we get 1. And negative 1 times 1 is a negative 1. Now, each time when you do this, because this is a 0, you need to get 0 here. If you're not getting 0 here, you did something wrong. This was cubed, so this is x squared minus 4x plus 1. Again, it's not factorable. So we have to use the quadratic formula. X equals, we're using this, so b is -4, plus or minus the square root of -4 squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. So it's +4 plus or minus the square root. 16 minus 4 is 12 over 2. So we have a 4 plus or minus 12 is 4 times 3. 4 plus or minus square root of 4 is 2 radical 3. This will all reduce by 2. So we have 2 plus or minus the square root of 3. So our factor is the x plus 1 that's up here. Right there. And then this one would be x minus 2 plus radical 3 and x minus 2 minus radical 3. And that would be our factor. Let's try one more. H of just wanted to make sure we weren't doing a repeat. X cubed plus 2x squared minus 6x minus 4. Our 0 is 2. Which means x equals 2. Bringing it over, the factor is x minus 2. Okay, to find the rest of it, we divide. I'm going to use the 0 again. So we have 1, 2, -6, and -4. Bringing down the 1, 2 times 1 is 2. Adding down, we get 4. 2 times 4 is 8. Adding down, we get 2. 2 times 2 is 4. We get a remainder of 0, so it worked. This was x cubed. This becomes x squared. Again, this is not factorable. There's nothing that when you multiply you get 2, that when you add you get 4. So we need to use the quadratic formula again. Negative b, so b is 4, plus or minus the square root, b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times 1. 16 minus 8. (16 minus 8 is 8. 8 has a perfect square. It's 4 times 2. So we have -4 plus or minus 2 radical 2 over 2, which again, these will all divide by 2. So we have x equals a -2 plus or minus the square root of 2. Our factors, h of x equals x minus 2. And then bringing this over, we'd have x plus 2 plus radical 2 and x minus 2 minus radical 2. And that's your factors.